Welcome back for a very belated installment of Twilight Abridged. The chapter begins with Alice's Deus Ex powers flaring up again, and they become aware that James has been to Bella's mother's house. None of them even bother realizing that it would be a simple matter for him to figure out where they are, particularly if Bella's mom had caller ID. Hell, if that was the last call made to the house, he could just star 69 it. Anyway, Alice gets in touch with the other Cullens, and Bella gives her a standard look. At least, a vapid glance is what I expect it appears to be when you look at someone numbly. Apparently, Alice thought it was a good idea to have Edward come and take Bella away, because it's oh so obvious that taking her away worked wonders the first time they did it. Of course, Bella, for some god-awful reason, thinks that James came to get her mother, despite it having been known from the get-go that James was after her, and that he was tracking her, which would have naturally led him to her mother's house, where Bella had lived most of her life. Hell, Bella's so stupid as to outright say that she doesn't think James is tracking her, even though that's what he'd been doing the entire time. And she thinks they are the stupid ones for not getting it. Because completely ass-backwards thinking and outright stupidity is pure genius in Meyerland. But because they got tired of her inane prattling, Jasper tried to make her sleep, and the fucktard resisted and threw a bitch fit in her room. With the other Cullens on their way, Jasper went to check out, and Alice, whose Deus Ex power is completely useless when Myers says so, gets a call from James, who apparently did star 69 after all, but because he was using the home videos to make it sound like Alice was talking to Bella's mom, she hands the phone off to Bella. Because why the fuck would she expect him to use star 69 and call and use home videos available at Bella's mom's house, where they knew he'd been, to devise a ruse to lead his prey into a trap, even though they knew that he was a hunter that had been doing this sort of thing for quite a long time and had plenty of practice? I mean, come on. Expecting a predator to act like a predator is way beyond the grasp of any character Meyer could write. I mean, fuck. Bella's mom had been in Florida when all this started going down. They knew James had been to the very house Bella had called to leave a message, meaning he'd be the only one who could star 69 it. Bella hadn't given any information about where she was, so how the hell could anyone be so fucking moronic as to think Bella's mom had any chance at all of being able to call their exact hotel room, when she'd have absolutely no way to know they were even there, much less which room they were in, unless she was actually bait anyway. After Bella gets on the phone, she apparently moves away from Alice because she wasn't sure if she could lie as convincingly with her eyes on her. Because, obviously, being on the phone with her mom totally required her to be able to lie, and being near Alice wouldn't possibly allow her to do that. But then James drops the ruse, and the super special awesome hearing of the Meyer powers is worthless because, even though they can talk well below the hearing range of humans and still understand one another, they can't hear the sound from the earpiece of a phone when it's a few feet away. Bella, despite being an open book, has apparently absolutely no body language to speak of, since Alice can't tell what's going on by just simply watching her. And James has Bella repeat a few lines periodically to give the illusion that she was actually talking to her mother, who, as stated, could only be calling if she was bait. Even James is surprised that they're all so incredibly stupid, and proceeds to tell Bella to get away from the Cullens, go to her mom's house, and call a number he'd leave there to get further instructions on how to walk into his trap. And despite being given absolutely nothing to indicate that he'd actually captured her mother, expounded upon by the fact that he didn't even answer when asked where her mother's boy toy was, she continued to think he did have her. Within the prose following this, Meyer indicates that Bella thought James' hunt for her was about beating Edward, despite that it was already established that it was about the hunt itself, and that she was stupid enough to think that James, if he did actually have her mom trapped, would just let her go despite, her being a witness. It wouldn't surprise me at all to find that Meyer actually thought such complete and utter stupidity was heroic. But let me clarify. Risking your life to save someone else is heroic. Throwing your life away without any reason to believe doing so would accomplish anything is not. Bella then started planning how she'd get away. Given how stupid Alice had been, it wouldn't be hard to get away from her. I mean, hell, to cover the phone call, Bella tells Alice that she'd convinced her mom not to come home, even though there wouldn't be any chance in hell her mom could have called them had she not already been home. Bella then wrote a farewell letter for Edward, but told Alice that she wanted her to leave it at her mom's house, and that it was for her mom, meaning it wouldn't even get to Edward, making the writing of said letter completely pointless. But, of course, with how stupid everyone in this book is, it's little surprise that, despite having told Alice to leave it at her mom's house for her mom, Bella thought that Edward would eventually get it. She also thought, despite all of her interactions with Edward, that he'd listen to the enclosed begging for her to not try to rescue her. Even though if he were to ever read it, it'd be long after she'd sprung James' trap anyway. Thank you for joining me for another installment of Twilight Abridged, brought to you by the good people of TwilightSucks.com. Twilight sucks because the sheer stupidity of it all is just baffling.